Alrighty, friend, if you have ever had one of those moments where you're like, man, I just wish I had enough energy. I wish I had enough energy and I wish I had enough time to be able to get done to what I need to get done today, then this is going to be the episode for you. Because I know for most of my clients, those are hands down the two number one things that they are wanting. They're wanting more time. They're wanting more energy. They're wanting more balance. They're wanting to be able to create a bigger income and a bigger impact. And doing it all in this same sustainable way, right? Like going back to that idea of they want to be able to still have the time and the energy to do the things they want to be doing and not feel like they're wasting all of their time on things that are not adding value to their life or that they're feeling exhausted and drained. I know a lot of really high achieving women who are achieving really amazing, wonderful things, but it's coming at the cost of their energy and it's coming at the cost of that free time, the things that they really want to be enjoying and the things they want to be doing. And so inside this episode, we're going to talk about some of the big key things that I have done that have allowed me to increase my energy and really support my body where it's at to be able to maximize on the performance that my body is able to do. Because at the core of it, right, our body is the basis and the vehicle for our business. If our body is run down and depleted, we're not going to be able to show up in the same way. If our brain is in mental fatigue and brain fog and we're feeling overwhelmed, we're not going to get as much done either. So we really want to take a look at like how we're really supporting your body so that then you can show up and achieve those massive big goals. You can achieve those big things that you want to be doing and that you're not stuck in this just constant, just running on fumes all the time. So first off, I know you're here on the Cycle Advantage podcast. You've probably heard episodes before where I talk about why leaning into our cycle is such a powerful way to be able to support our body's energy and knowing that there are going to be times in our month when we do have energy dips. We are going to have times in our month when our brain doesn't work the same. It doesn't function quite on the same note. Like this is normal. And there's still this element of how can we support it so that it doesn't totally derail us. It doesn't take us all the way down. It doesn't take us all the way out. So the first one that I really think is super important that we want to pay attention to is our nutrition and hydration. I know hands down, if I have loads of sugar or if I have heavy carbs or if I have dairy, like Friday night movie night is one of our family traditions that we started probably back in COVID, where we would on Friday nights, like I'm done with the week. I don't want to make dinner. I don't want to do it. We just have Friday night movie night and it's usually pizza night. So for a long time, that's what we were doing. And every single Saturday, I could feel the ramifications of that pizza night. Like I love pizza. It tastes delicious, but the combination of the heavy carb and the heavy cheese would just send my body into this super low funk. Like I could just feel my body dragging. And so I think what happens is that a lot of people are functioning in life in that kind of state where they don't realize how much their nutrition is impacting them until they start switching their nutrition. So it's not until we take something away and then put it back in that we're like, oh my gosh, that's how I was feeling all the time. So for me, I did a sugar detox probably 7 years-ish ago. And we went a whole month with no sugar. And when I say like sugar detox, like no sugar, I went hardcore. Like it was not sustainable. We got rid of sugar everywhere. And you would be surprised at where sugar is laden in. Like it's in like your syrups, or not your syrups, your dressings, it's in ketchup, it's in barbecue sauce. Like sugar is in almost everything at our store because it's so addictive. It makes people come back, but it's so bad for our health, like to have that much sugar all the time. But anyway, we went on this massive sugar detox. And at the time, like when we were on the detox, I didn't necessarily notice that I felt different. Like it was such a gradual transition into where I was at that I didn't feel like, wow, I'm alive. I have so much more energy. But then after the sugar detox, I kind of tested it out and I like ate a candy bar and got the world's worst headache. I was fatigued. I felt like I had brain fog. I was sluggish and my body went into a total revolt against this sugar. And so it wasn't until I had taken it completely away that I realized how much of an impact it was having on my body. Same kind of thing recently with me getting rid of coffee. Now I've like kind of toyed with different mushroom coffees, and I actually like the flavor of like the mushroom coffee with a little bit of regular coffee in it. But we've been mixing like decaffeinated coffee and regular coffee, like for my husband even too, to like get off some of the caffeine. So it's really minimal caffeine, really minimal coffee. But what I noticed was that once I stopped drinking coffee, there's a period of detox, right? There's a period of withdrawal from whatever food it is or whatever item it is. But then after that, my body started to realize like, wow, it actually feels so much better when it doesn't have the caffeine, when it's functioning and creating its own energy. So when I looked at the things in my nutrition that are actually adding energy to me, I know like my body does not do well with red meat. My body retains lots of fluid. It feels heavy. It doesn't feel the same as when I eat more vegetables and I eat lighter foods and I eat leaner meats or whatever it might be. And so I will say this right now, and I admit, like, I am not one of those people that's going to prescribe somebody a specific diet. I think every body is different. Everybody's body is different. And I think it's really important and really valuable for us to understand what's happening inside of our bodies. Like going back to that idea of like, I talk about it all the time. One of the foundations of my program, Your Cycle Advantage, is like understanding the language of your body. Because we really do want to get so intimate with knowing what's happening inside our bodies, not what's just happening for everybody else. Because there's going to always be a diet. There's always going to be a fad. There's always going to be a tool. There's always going to be something that people is going to say is the one fix cure all. And it's really, I think, so important for us to realize, like, what is it that my body wants? Like, what is it that my body needs? So I know I shared in a couple episodes back how I've been kind of testing out this intermittent fasting with the Fast Like a Girl method. Because like I said, I've heard from numerous hormone people that like fasting as a woman of like menstruating age, it is not good for your hormones at all. But yet this whole methodology is built around how do we do it with our hormones? Like how do we support our hormones in the intermittent fasting? And I have had so many clients come to me and say that they've seen really great results with it and they've really enjoyed it. For me, I think it was the very thing that threw my body into not ovulating. It threw my hormones through a loop so much. So it may work for somebody else, but it's not working for me. And so I think it's really important for us to, when we talk about nutrition, to look at what are those foods, what are those things that are adding energy to your life? What are they doing to your body? I think making sure that we have adequate number of calories, that's a huge thing. I know a lot of the hormone experts that I've worked with say that most women are not eating enough caloric density to be able to sustain the energy that they want. So looking at your energy or like you're looking at your nutrition and saying, am I eating enough food? Am I getting enough calories in? And am I getting those calories from places and foods that are actually giving me energy rather than withdrawing me? Now, the second piece in this was hydration, because a lot of what I've heard is that women oftentimes misread cues inside their bodies, right? Like we have not been taught to listen to our bodies very well. And so we get these hunger cues when really we're dehydrated. A lot of women are dehydrated. And when we add more water into our regular routine, right? We're not waiting till we're parched and we're wanting to get a drink, but we're drinking before that. And we're making sure that we're staying hydrated, that's going to give us so much more energy. Right? Like making sure you're just drinking water throughout the day can help support feeling like you have the energy for the things you want to do. Now, the second thing that I want to highlight on here is looking at how you're moving your body and supporting your body. So as you move throughout the cycle and through the month, there are different phases of your cycle that are more prone towards doing like a HIIT workout or a strength training or something that's a little bit more high intensity. And another one that's going to be more geared towards yoga or going for a walk or something of that nature. But moving your body, whichever phase of the month you're in, is definitely going to give you more energy. I know that a lot of times it's hard to squeeze it in when we have life and we have things going on and all of these things, but it's going to pay you back tenfold. Like you're going to have so much more energy when you actually move your body. Like these two things so far that we've talked about are some of the core, what I call daily 5 inside Your Cycle Advantage, where these are the daily things that you should be doing every day is like eating really well, hydrating really well, like 1 and 2, moving your body, making sure your movement. You think of like both from a physiological standpoint and also an energetic standpoint, that when we're stuck and stiff and stagnant, energy gets stuck in our bodies. Ideas, like big things that we want to create, like limiting beliefs, like all those things can get stuck and stagnant. Emotions inside of our bodies, that from a Chinese medicine sort of mentality of like when that chi has a good flow throughout the body, we feel better. We allow like more productive work. We have more energy, like all of these things, but also just from a physiological standpoint, when our muscles get contracted and stiff and stagnant, like it's hard to move. It makes it more uncomfortable to move. It makes us like we're dragging. So for me, I know like in the luteal phase, which is where I'm at right now, there's oftentimes I'm like, I go through the day, I don't really want to do an exercise. I don't want to really move my body. And so I find ways to use moving my body to actually restore me both physically and also mentally. So one of my favorite things in the luteal phase is to, after the kids go to bed, or like when they're going to bed, go for a walk at like 8, or 9 o'clock at night. And I will walk around the neighborhood by myself at night. And it's such a good down like regulation for me. Like it's quiet, it's dark, there's limited stimulus. I'm moving my body. I get this little bit of like energy out and like recoup right before I go to bed. It loosens things up, loosens up ligaments. That's like one of my favorites. The other one I'll do is yoga before bed. And I'll do a yoga routine and I'll light a candle, maybe burn some sage or Palo Santo or whatever, like whatever feels good in that moment. Sometimes I'll have my journal there and I'll do this like in the dark, same thing. I turn the lights out and I use Boho Beautiful on YouTube. Love her, love their stuff. And so I'll watch it on there and do the yoga flow and then just journal at the end of the night. And so, like I said, it's helping support my energy physically, but it's also supporting like downgrading and downregulating my brain and like what's processing and what I'm feeling and all of those emotions. And I recorded an episode of not that long ago around how we modulate those feelings. Like, right, people feel really triggered, really emotional in that luteal phase. And I got a lot of questions on social media when I posted about how it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to feel super emotional and super triggered. But it comes from instilling habits and systems and tools like this, that for me, like to be able to calm my nervous system at the end of the day by journaling and having a candle and in the dark, like limiting the stimuli as I allow my body to move. And I can tell you, I don't do yoga all month long. Sometimes I wish I did, but I usually just do it in that luteal phase. When I get to that luteal phase and I start practicing yoga, I can feel how stiff and tight and inflexible my body is. And so I almost see it as that phase of the month being a moment and a time that's not just moving my body and not just shifting, like supporting my physical body, but it's supporting my ability to be more flexible all the way around. It's supporting myself to like push through those uncomfortable spots. And when you are in, say, like pigeon pose, and like I can remember that one of the recent ones I just did, we're in pigeon pose and it was like tight. I could feel my entire leg just like burning, right? And in the Boho Beautiful video, she kept just saying like surrender, like can we surrender? And in those moments, it's about how can I surrender to the discomfort that I'm physically feeling in my body right now in this like stretch, but how can I surrender in all areas of my life? Like how can I surrender in my business? How can I surrender in my thoughts? How can I surrender in my relationships? And so as I'm moving through these physical movements and at the same time having this emotional mind experience of letting go and surrendering, I think these are the moments, like these are the things that allow you to move through that luteal phase and not feel so triggered. It's the practices that we pull in. And that would be the last one that I want to have on here is this mindfulness and stress management, like self-regulation sort of component. When we have tools that we're using like this that give us more energy. So things that we can do that help support our body physically, but also like give us more energy, but also the mind body connection. So inside Your Cycle Advantage, I talk a lot about like these mind body activators, like things that support the connection between our minds and our bodies, because the nervous system's all interconnected, right? Like it's all there. And as an occupational therapist, like we know so much about how we interact with the body physically changes the way the nervous system is working. And especially when, in the past, when I was working with kids with sensory processing disorders or autism or any of those types of things, this was a big part of my practice, was helping kids learn how to regulate up or regulate down so that they stayed within that just right zone. Even now, as a NICU therapist, like that is almost 100% of what we do. Well, I do a lot of feeding, but also is like managing sensory stimulation and nervous system regulation and nervous system development. And so what we know is that there are certain things that we can do to the body that are going to increase your stimulation, and things that we can do that are going to decrease your stimulation, things that are going to help you ground, and things that are going to help you stimulate you up. So no matter where you are in your phases, no matter what's happening in your life, if you know what to do and how to bring that energy level up, it's going to support you feeling like you have enough energy to do the things that we need to do. So some of those tools and some of those things that I've implemented and have been using in the last couple of months, one is cold plunging. So I only cold plunge in my follicular phase. It's the only time of the month that I feel like my body is able to do that. And then once I get into that luteal phase, I want to support nourishing my body and reducing cortisol levels. And so when you get in a cold plunge, you are increasing cortisol, right? Like you're increasing your body's stress. And then it's about learning and helping your body learn how to manage and cope through that stress. So it can be really incredibly valuable for people that have different things like anxiety or depression or things like that need support, kind of like resetting their nervous systems and resetting what's happening. I would definitely, if that's you, I would look for working with somebody who is a trained like cold plunging expert, like facilitator. They can help guide you through, especially with those mental health things. But cold plunging for sure has made such a huge difference in my energy. When you cold plunge in the morning, it's like you get out of the water and your body feels all tingly. It feels all like rejuvenated. It feels alive. Like there's something uniquely different about a cold plunge than almost any other thing that I've done in terms of energy and giving you energy and supporting that energy. So that would definitely be one that if you are feeling like, man, I'm just dragging and I don't have the energy and I want to support my body and I want to help my body heal in a lot of different ways, like I challenge you to kind of dig into and look at cold plunging. We have an episode with Marcus Bradley. It was back in April of 2023. So if we can link up the show notes in here with the actual episode, but definitely go back and listen to that one too. We go into so much more about like what the cold therapy is actually doing, how it's supporting your body, how it's supporting your nervous system, your immune system. Like literally so much of your body is supported by the cold plunge. Now, another thing that has really supported me lately in helping kind of change my energy is breath work. So this one's kind of different because every breathwork session is different. Every breathwork session I do, like some of them, like as a facilitator and also as a recipient, some of them definitely help calm and down regulate the nervous system, which is what a lot of women really need. A lot of women are overstimulated. We have so much going on. Like a lot of women need that, like release and let go, like I can breathe and slow down, feel. Inherently, I think in that, like there's a lot of sessions that I do at the end. People are like, I'm just so relaxed, like I'm ready to go to sleep. I do a lot of my breathwork facilitations in the evening, just scheduling wise. That's where it's worked out really well. So that tends to be a lot of what I see is people are like so relaxed that they're ready to go to sleep. But here's the thing with it. Breath work is one of the big things that has helped shift and change my heart rate variability and helps get you into more relaxed sleep. It helps you restore and replenish and support your cells in ways that you can't just if you just go to sleep. So what we're doing in breath work oftentimes is changing the pH level of your body, and we're increasing the oxygenation of your body. And if we know our bodies need oxygen, our bodies need oxygen to be able to support our cells and keep us alive. And so what happens, I think, for a lot of women is that we're in a lot of breath holding without even really knowing it. A lot of us are taking really shallow breaths, and in this more stressed out, like sympathetic nervous system state, our nervous systems are in this little bit of fight or flight all the time. And so we're taking really shallow breaths, not fully oxygenating our bodies. And then therefore the cells and things in our bodies cannot fully repair themselves. They cannot fully heal themselves. So regardless if you feel like in the moment, the breathwork session like relaxes you and calms you and makes you feel replenished in is a good way, and that maybe you don't feel that like I have this burst of energy right now, know that what it's doing is replenishing those cells in the back end, and it's helping your body create more efficiency from the inside out. It's an inside out approach. Now, if you do breath work, there are certain different breaths that can actually activate more energy, that can be much more activating, that those in and of themselves would make you feel like, whoa, I just came out of this breathwork session and now I'm like, I do feel really invigorated. I feel really activated. I feel really on. Like I said, a lot of the ones I've been doing and supporting are in the evenings. And so I don't do that because people are wanting to transition to sleep. But there are ways that you can do that. But both of them were helping to increase that oxygen, change the pH of your body, and allow your body to heal itself. And then when you combine that with the nutrition, and you combine that with the movement, and you combine that with the hydration, and you combine that with all of it, like I kid you not, you're going to start feeling like an Energizer bunny. You're going to feel like you have so much more energy in your body. You're going to have so much more like life in you, which I think that we didn't even talk into this, is that sometimes I think that a lot of the lack of energy isn't a physical thing. This episode was predominantly about like, how do we physically support your energy? We probably need to do a whole podcast episode on like the mental piece of like how we support our energy, because for a lot of people what's happening is that we're overwhelmed, we're overstimulated, we're feeling like a lack of purpose, we're feeling like we're just these hamster wheel type of people, and that it's a mindset thing. Like when we have purpose, like I can go for so long and I can do so much because I'm so excited about my life. I'm so excited about the things I'm doing. It doesn't feel exhausting and draining mentally or emotionally because I enjoy it. Like, yes, there are times that happens and there are things that do that. But for the most part, this excitement for life, this excitement and purpose for what I'm doing, that creates the energy. So where in your life right now can you support both the physical energy, but also support this like mental, emotional, like I'm so excited for life type of energy? Because those are two totally different things. And I will venture to say that there is definitely, especially if you're a mom, there is a load of physical energy that when we can support that physical, like we're up late, we're taking care of the kids, we're shuffling them back and forth. Like, I mean, my season right now is crazy. The amount of all over the place with practices, like as soon as I pick kids up from school, I'm like juggling. Like today I go straight from school to the vet, then I go straight from the vet to baseball, and then another, and then I go swim, and then I go back to baseball, another baseball. Then I have to go back and pick up at swim, and then back to the pickup at the first baseball. And it's just like, it's a nonstop shuffle, literally nonstop shuffle, that I get it. Like there is some load physically that is physically draining. But I think a big part of what is so exhausting and so draining is when we don't feel like we have that sense of purpose and we don't have that sense of excitement for life. Like what we're doing doesn't light us up. And if you can capture that, then the conversation becomes a whole different conversation. So anyway, that is it for today's episode. I would love to know your takeaway. What are you walking away from today? Go send me a DM on Instagram. I would love to hear it. And if you've been listening to this episode and heard me talking about your cycle advantage and all those types of things, and you're like wondering more about what does that look like? How do I get in there? Like, how can I go deeper in this and really support my body? Definitely go check out our free training over at reneefieck.com/week off training. Inside that training, you're going to learn all about how we can really support our energy, support our body, know exactly what our body needs and how to work the most effectively and the most efficiently so that we can take that week off every single month. So definitely go check out that reneefieck.com/week off training, and I will see you in the next episode.
Alrighty, friend. It was such a pleasure to hang out with you today on today's episode. I cannot wait to do it again with you next week, so save the date. We'll meet here again. Until then, if you haven't already, be sure to leave a review on the podcast, letting us know what you love about this podcast. After you do that, submit a screenshot of that to support@reneefieck.com, and you will be entered in to be able to have one of our free spots inside of Your Cycle 101, our foundational program, letting you know the ins and the outs of how your cycle impacts you every single day. Alrighty, friend, I will see you next week.